Rightio, number 6. Here it comes. Number 6 in the advent calendar. I've been so excited about this. This is something that I genuinely have just made up. I know you won't believe me this, but these are the best things that I make up. Do you remember last year when we did the Albert Einstein, the crazy-haired Albert Einstein? It's a similar, it's a little bit like that. I made that up literally on the hoof minutes before the live stream. So with this ones, my daughter, my youngest daughter, she was cracking walnuts, and she said, "Oh, couldn't you do something with a walnut half? You know, because it looks like a cozy little bed. Couldn't you put something in there?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, you've just given me an idea." So I blame her for it, but it's actually good blaming, not bad blaming. So number 6, are you ready? In your number 6 advent calendar, you had some hand washed Gotland curls. Now, they came in all different versions. Some of them were more sort of white, some were grey, dark grey, light grey, all kinds. And I've only got a little bit here. But anyway, Gotland curls, hand washed Gotland curls from a Gotland sheep. And I thought, oh, what can I make? Okay, are you ready? Right, I'm just going to the overhead camera and I'll show you what I've made. Here we go. Little gnomes asleep in a walnut shell. So I just give it a full circle. So this is the little gnome who's fast asleep in the walnut shell, and there's the little beard, and here's another one which he's got a grey beard, and I'm going to show you how to make these. These are super easy to make. Now you do need to use some of your old, not old, it doesn't have to be old, but you need to use some of your own wool to obviously make the body and the rest of the gnome. But the curls are brilliant for this kind of stuff. And if you have some walnuts, crack them, eat them, and keep the shells. And do you remember when I say to you, don't ever chuck your little satin ribbons away when you cut them out of new garments? Keep them, because you never know when they come in handy. And they come in very handy when you've got little gnomes dangling and rocking themselves to sleep. So I show them to you hanging up. Aren't they the most delightful Christmas decoration? Imagine you have these on your tree, these lazy little gnomes just hanging out there. So that's what they look like. There you go. They've got their hands crossed over their chest, and they've got a little colourful hat on, and their legs are sticking out because they're swinging along on the tree. So you can use all kinds of things that you might have at home, like the walnut shell, little ribbon. It doesn't have to be ribbon. It could be some baker's twine or some pretty string that you've got. And I'm going to show you now how to make them. Okay, are you ready? Right. So what you need is you need some gnome skin color, whatever that is to you. I'm actually going to make one in this sort of darker, in this grey color. This is going to be for the body and the nose. And then you need a gnome hat color. I'm going to use that green. And you need a gnome body color. So I'm going to use, or maybe I'll do the other way around, hat and then body color. And then you need your curls, the curls that came in your actually I might use that color as the body, not that gray. Curls that came in your advent calendar. And then if you have a half walnut shell, so they don't need to be perfect, but you do want them to be fairly large. So if you've got tiny little walnut shells, you've got to make your gnome a lot smaller. Okay, right, here goes. So first off, you're going to take some of your skin colored wool and just going to roll it into a shape. Now this shape needs to fit the walnut. So you can already aim for a slight oval shape, and then you're going to felt it closed. And I'm still using my own made felting mat here. And just have a little fit now and then to see if it fits. I don't mean you having a fit, just fit the wool into the walnut shell and felt around it to make it smaller. Doesn't need to be solidly felted. We do want it to have a bit of squish. So none of these gnomes are actually glued in. They literally just properly stuck in there by just squishing them in. So you can see. There we go. And I have actually used a glue gun. If you saw the state of my glue gun, you would have kittens. It looks awful. So, right, felting this down sufficiently. So I think that's a good fit. It needs to have a little squish, so you can, and also you're going to work a little bit more on it. So it fills the walnut shell and sticks out a little bit as well. So then you're going to make a little nose from the same color, and you just take a small amount and you just wind it into a little ball shape as best as you can, quite tightly. You don't even need to felt this separately on your mat, but if you want to, mind your fingers. And that is going onto the shape. So I'm stabbing around the edge just to fasten on the nose, so that you want it to stick out a little bit, like a little wart. And then you're going to make the legs. So decided on the color of the legs, which was the green, and we're going for a yellow hat. You need 2 same portion of green wool, around that size. It doesn't really matter because either your legs are slightly bigger or smaller. And all you're going to do now is you're going to sort of line the wool up into a strand, and then you wind this in along the length, so, and felt it down. Now you do need to move this. I'm ignoring the ends at the moment. So move this around so that you're making like a thin sausage basically. And you can felt this down really solid if you want to. I'm keeping it quite soft just for time purposes, like this. And one end, the thicker end, I'm going to keep fluffy, and the thinner end I'm actually going to bend in and make it sort of blunt, if you like this. And then I do the second one exactly the same way. So I line the fibers so I can stretch it a bit bigger, and then I wind it in along the length. Normally we wind it from the short end, and you felt it down, and then pretty quickly you need to keep turning it so that you get a 3D shape rather than a flat shape. So keep turning it and felt it down. If you have one thicker end, keep that fluffy, that attaches to the gnome. If you've got another end, felt it down to make a blunt end, like that. Okay, so 2 legs. And the other thing that you do need, which I didn't tell you about, is a little bit of yet another color. I've chosen black to give him boots. You can make him red boots or whatever takes your fancy. And the end that you felted blunt, you're going to use that to build up layers of black, but you're going beyond the wool. So you actually got a little bit of black just on its own, and you just felt that down for a little black boot, like a little tiny, almost like a pixie boot. So like a little slipper. And then you also bend it so that you have a slight bend where the toes are and the ankle is, like that. So you've got a slight bend. And then you do the same on the other foot. Just a little bit of the black wool, partially wrap the green, but then go beyond. Need a little bit more, so that you've got some black wool that you just felt into itself. And you might stub a bit of green out on the other side. It really doesn't matter. It's not such a precise make. Just felt it on so that the boot is actually attached to the foot. And make sure that you've got similar size boots. That's always good to have 2 the same. And they're quite bendy, the legs. They're not solidly felted. They're just sort of enough felted that they don't flop. And then give it that bend so that you've got a slight curve in there. There we go. Two boots, 2 legs. And you're going to attach these legs to your little gnome from the back so that they are sticking out. And if they're slightly different lengths, this is a good time to adjust. So it's a little bit like, looks like Humpty Dumpty. So from the back, you attach the legs, and you can have them slightly pointing outward. It looks like he's so sprawling his legs out a little bit. Same here. So you can have them slightly sideways, or you can have them straight. So there you go. And this one is a little bit longer, so I'm just going to shorten it a tiny bit so that he's got same leg size. There we go, like that. Now you need to color in the body, so anything below his nose, in that green wool, so that it matches his trouser legs. And so just felt that down on his lower body. And get all of that covered in green, or whatever color you're using. And all the while you're still felting that shape down a little bit more, which means that when you try and fit it into the half nutshell, it sort of will be a bit of a neater fit. Even though you are adding wool to it, it will, now and then you can just try it. So he needs to fit in there like this, squish, 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 and then his legs will be popping out like that. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to make the arm in anticipation of attaching them later. They don't get attached for a little while yet. I'm just going to felt him down a little bit more. So the arms are made very similar to the legs, except that you just use one length of wool. And all you need to do is, for now, is just stretch it and wind it with your fingers like that. We don't felt it just yet. And then you take another strand of the wool that is for the skin, and you wrap that around the middle. That will make his little hands. So just wrap it around the middle, like you're making sort of almost like a moustache, and felt that down. So the ends, the wispy ends, they are not felted right now. They're just sticking out. You're just getting the hands felted down. Keep them quite neat. And then just stab into the arms a little bit. And what we need to do next is we need to add another layer of green so that it looks the hands are actually inside the sleeve, not the sleeve coming out of the hand. So just felt that down. Like that. And then you just need a really thin layer of that green wool, and you're wrapping it around, so starting quite where the hand is, because you want the hand to be coming out of the sleeve, but keep the arms quite thin. Oh, just wrap that around it. And then felt that down. So now the hand looks more like it's part of an arm rather than the sleeve coming out of the hand. And you do that on the other side as well. Really small amounts of wool. Just go really, really delicate. You can always add more. So you want to overlap that slightly as well. Like that. And work your way up the arm. And then felt that down as well. Again, it doesn't matter too much about the length of the arm, because you can adjust them when they get felted onto the gnome. So the next thing you need to do is put the arms to one side and give him his beard. So as I always say with curls, cut them, don't pull them. And they are really long and voluptuous, so he can have really nice long curls hanging down his front. Tease them out a little bit sideways, like this. And then to attach them, what I do is I bend the top in and just felt it down across the base of where his nose is. So you're going all the way across, almost to where his ears are. Going all the way across. Felt that down. Felts down really easy. That will the curls are really easy to felt down. So now you've got his wild beard, and now you're going to attach the hat. I mean, you're going to make the hat. So the hat, we said yellow, didn't we? Did we say yellow? I can't remember now. Yes, yellow hat. So you're going to tease out your wool, and you put it on your felting mat into a slight, almost sort of imagine like it's already a triangular shape. So like that. And then your the shape of the hat is, you'll see this really easy now. You make one curved line at the bottom like this. Don't worry too much if the hat is too big or too small. One curved line at the bottom, fold the wool over and felt it down. So you've got a neat edge. That's the base of the hat. That will sit on the gnome's head, slouching into his face. And then lift it off. And then you're going to do the two sides. You're going to make a straight line, heading straight for the top on both sides. That will determine the height of the hat. And again, you're folding the sides inward. So you've got a neat edge on either side as well. And then felt the hat down a little bit on its own. Lift it off. If you've got a multi-tool, use that. You can felt that hat from both sides. You always know what the base is, where the rounded shape is. If it's a little bit wonky, it doesn't matter. Get it felted down. And then fold it in. If you've got a rougher looking side, have that on the inside, have the smoother side on the outside, fold it in like this, and then you're just going to stab into the two straight edges on top of each other, so that you're pushing the fibers from one straight edge into the other straight edge, and you do that on the other side. That creates like a seam of the hat. Can neaten that out in a minute. So make sure that the hat is closed, so you can stick your finger in it and it's literally a hat. And then you're going to have to pull this really hard over his head, because he needs to have this covering all of his head and slouching down over his nose like this. And once you've got it in position, just felt it on quite firmly, anything sort of above the nose. Felt it onto that part of the head that is, is inside, all the way around. Now the back you won't see, because it's covered by the walnut half, but if it bothers you, you can neaten out the edge a little bit like this. And as a final bit, we need to attach the arms. So make sure the hat is felted on properly, and you can still work on the hat itself if you want to shorten it or make it a little bit smoother. By the way, I've used all along I've used a medium felting needle. You can also felt the seam in a little bit, so it's not so sticky out. There's your little gnome. And then the arms attach at the back, going round the front like this. So make sure that the hands are in the center, and then all you need to do is felt the back down, felt the arms down in the back. Remember, you're not going to see that part in the walnut, so again, it doesn't matter if there's a slight seam, but if it bothers you, by all means cover it up if you like. And then I'm going to switch my glue gun on, because I'm going to use it tonight. I think that's the first time that you've seen me in all the years use a glue gun. Now my beard has got a little bit straggly, so I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter. Just there. There we go. It's still nice and wavy. And then you have your little walnut half. I can't remember which one I used now. So you need to squish your gnome in there. This one has a slight crack in it, so maybe, I don't know if that will make it. Oh, I think it might break. Let's use this one. So squish your gnome in there, right in there, so that he doesn't pop out. The sort of inside of the walnut is quite rough, and that will stop him coming out. And then position him in there. Choose your ribbon, whatever you've got. I've still got a bit of that green ribbon left here. And what I do is that, oh my God, please don't judge me for the look for the look of my glue gun. I don't know why it's so horrid. It needs cleaning, okay? Just ignore how bad it is. So I'm just going to put a dab of glue on the underneath of the nut first, and I'm going to pop that ribbon on there like that, and then I'm going to go all the way around, decide how long I want this to be. So say I want it to be that long, I'm going to cut the rest off there, add another dab of glue on top of that first bit of ribbon. Oh, yuck, terrible glue gun. And then pop that end on there. Ugh, I hate glue guns. Okay, maybe if I had a good quality one. This one is one of these really cheap ones. Now, this won't do because it'll just go like that. So you've got to add a dab of glue on either side of where the ribbon has to come round. So you have to add a dab of glue there. Push that down. And then add a dab of glue there. And also push that down. Ugh, get rid of that horrible glue gun. Ugh, there we go. And de-string it all. And then you've got your little, oh, am I still in the picture? You've got your little cozy gnome dangling off the ribbon. So I'm just going to show you this. There we go. Here he is, having a little snooze. There you can see him there, lying down, and he's got his little mates that he can hang out with. So all of them can just be hanging on the Christmas tree, nice and colorful addition, make really great presents, and so it's almost like little gnomes in a hammock hanging out. So that's what you can do with your Gotland curls. I know there's a lot of other stuff in there, but the advent calendar always gives you idea of what you could do with that one material. It never says that this is a complete project. Talking about it, however, we do have our first complete project, the first out of 4, in day 7, and I'm going to talk about this next. So we've had, I'm just going to remind myself what we've had. We're on day 6 now. So day 6 in the luxury hamper is for you to make a curled up badger. This is a really lovely little project. You can make the badger in that curled up way, and you get the wool in there to make the whole badger, or you can make him like this. So that's basically the project in day 6 of the Felted Christmas Luxury Hamper. It's a complete kit, makes a badger. Okay, so if you like the wildlife, if you like the badgers, this one is right for you. Now remember, the Christmas hamper or the luxury hamper has got a range of products, a range of projects, but they're not connected. So they're just random projects, needle felting projects for you to make. So you might want to save them for another day, for a rainy day or something like this. So you stay exactly where you are, because I'm now yet going to go onto the third day. So just bear with me whilst I change the thingy around. So okay, just bear with me.